You don't have to stop wanting approval. You just have to stop needing it to know who you are. Audio essay, The Observer. Like and subscribe. A recent article making the rounds makes a claim that sounds generous. People who don't seek approval aren't cold or detached. They've simply developed enough self-knowledge that external validation becomes background noise. It's a reasonable starting point. And then it flattens everything. It conflates two things that are not the same: not needing approval as your foundation, and not being affected by opinion at all. It takes a real and interesting research finding that being accepted for who you are, rather than what you've achieved, reduces defensiveness, and uses it to support a conclusion the research doesn't actually reach. And underneath all of it, it treats the appetite for connection and praise as something to be overcome, a weakness that self-awareness eventually cures. That's not what self-knowledge does, and it's not what it means to be human. Wanting to be seen, wanting praise, wanting the people you love to think well of you, these don't go away when you know yourself. They shouldn't. They're not weaknesses to be overcome. They're part of what it means to be human and in connection with other humans. What changes is something more precise than that. When you know yourself, really know yourself, not as a project you're working on, but as something you've built through sustained, honest observation, external opinion stops being the foundation. It becomes something you can actually look at. That's the shift. Not that praise stops feeling good, it still does. When someone tells you that you're good at your job, and you know you're good at your job, that lands as confirmation. It's pleasure. There's nothing wrong with wanting more of it, sharing it, pointing to it. The difference is that without it, you still know. The knowing doesn't depend on the praise arriving. In criticism, real criticism, from someone who knows you, that still lands too. It's supposed to. If someone in your life, someone whose opinion you've earned the right to wait, tells you something hard, you feel it. That's not a failure of self-knowledge. That's a relationship working as it should. Research supports this. A 2001 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that being accepted for who you are, not for what you've achieved, reduces defensiveness. When the foundation is internal, external opinion stops needing to be managed. What self-knowledge does is give you the ground to tell the difference. This is the core of what the Observer method is built on, a framework for self-knowledge I've been developing over decades. At its center is a simple but demanding practice: witnessing your own internal experience, your body, your feelings, your thoughts, without judgment, without fixing, without looking away. Not so that you feel less, so that you can see more clearly. Here's what that looks like in practice. Someone close to me regularly comments on what I eat. It used to land harder than it deserved. What changed was that I developed a clear picture on both sides. I know myself, my body, my sensory experience, what genuinely works for me. I don't moralize food. That's not a gap in my thinking. It's an accurate position built through honest observation of how I actually function. I also know this person. I know the framework their criticism comes from, the values, the restrictions, the particular lens through which they see food and bodies. It's a real framework. It just doesn't apply to me. When they offer that criticism, they're not seeing me. They're seeing their own framework reflected back. So when the comment arrives, I can hold it, look at it, and place it accurately. It doesn't fit what I know to be true, so it doesn't stick. That's not coldness. That's not indifference. It's clarity. And clarity only becomes available when you know yourself well enough to have something to measure against. And then there's a subtler layer still. Someone in my life has a habit of telling me I make the best cup of tea just before they ask me for something. The praise is warm. I feel it. It's still a nice thing to be told. But I've seen this enough times that I know what it is. The compliment and the request arrive together, reliably in that order. So when the praise comes, I can hold both things at once, the warmth of it and the pattern underneath it. I'm not suspicious. I'm not guarded. I'm just not surprised by what comes next. And because I can see it clearly, I'm not trapped by it. The compliment doesn't obligate me. I can say, "Can't right now, I'm busy," and mean it, cleanly, without guilt. Because guilt would require me to believe the praise was purely what it appeared to be. I know it isn't, not entirely. This is what accumulated observation actually builds. Not cynicism. Not the decision that people are manipulative or that warmth is always transactional. Just an accurate picture of how a particular dynamic works, built over time through paying attention. You can enjoy the compliment and still see what's around it, both at once. That's not detachment. That's the opposite of detachment. It's full presence with clear sight. So no, self-knowledge doesn't make you cold. It doesn't make you indifferent to praise or immune to criticism or above the very human need to be seen by the people who matter to you. Those things don't go away. They shouldn't. What it does is give you a foundation that doesn't depend on any of it. You can want praise and not need it to know your own worth. You can feel criticism and not be destabilized by it. You can enjoy being told you make a good cup of tea and still see exactly what's happening around it. None of that requires you to shut anything down or feel less. It requires you to know yourself accurately enough that you have something solid to stand on when external opinion arrives, whatever form it takes. That's the shift. Not transcendence, not detachment, not the performance of not caring. Just knowing who you are, clearly enough that everything else can be seen for what it actually is. The observer method, the framework behind this platform, is still being finalized. What you're reading here is part of that process. Follow along if you want to be here when it arrives. The Expert Editor.